How's it going, guys? Dragonstar Production here, back with another continuation of What If Dragonstar Was in Dragon Ball, this being part 4 of this series. No recap of the last part, the link will be above though, so if you haven't been caught up, make sure you click that before. With that said, let's get into the video. Last time we left off with match 4 of round 1 between myself, Dragonstar, versus the son of the Demon King, Piccolo Jr. We were battling for quite a while until finally I had an opening to blast Piccolo Jr. with a Kamehameha. This blast nailed Piccolo directly on. The Kamehameha literally pushed Piccolo across the stage. The more Piccolo tried to fight, I just fought harder, eventually knocking Piccolo Jr. out of the ring. Which means we don't have Piccolo Jr. versus Goku. And because this fight with Piccolo Jr. really took a lot of my energy, I was really going to have to dig deep if I plan on continuing in this tournament, and especially having a match with Goku. However, with that said, match 1 of round 2 is with Saiyan versus Goku. This fight is awesome, but it typically plays out as canon, so there's no point in covering it here. As for the second match of the second round, well, that was me versus Krillin. Krillin I knew wasn't going to be a layup, but I knew he couldn't beat me. Well, he couldn't if I wasn't this exhausted. And when the match started, Krillin came full force. Expecting it, I would weave Krillin just barely. I then knew reacting quick was important, so I grabbed Krillin, rolling him and getting him right in the center of where I wanted him. I dashed right at Krillin, but before making my move, I actually decided to use a solar flare, blinding Krillin right then and there. I then dove right in front of him as I spun him around, nailing my knees straight into his back. Krillin would then tumble forwards, which I capitalized on by once more spinning him around and then driving my fist right across his jaw. Krillin attempts to get back up, but I wouldn't allow it. I stayed on Krillin until eventually he would tumble off the stage, leaving the final round of the tournament between Dragonstar and Goku. And this was quite exciting. For one, this was my first fight with Goku as a teen or an adult, and for second, I know this fight is in canon, and I have all intentions of topping it. If that means I have to go all out, well, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And with that said, me and Goku, for the third time, step onto the stage. Both of us get into our fighting stances, feeling the heat of the eyes of Piccolo Jr., Saiyan, and the rest of the Z Fighters, but I'll only let this fuel my fire, dashing and gun blazing straight at Goku. Goku, though, was ready for my attack, blocking my fist, throwing one of his own. Thinking fast, though, I too caught Goku's fist, showing both of us that this fight wasn't going to be an easy one. But that leads to both of us actually breaking into a full-blown battle. We were both giving everything we got as Goku throws a punch, I reverse and deliver a kick, but it's reversed. We couldn't be more of a match, but I felt my body giving up on me, so I needed an opening, and I needed an opening now. I decided to jump full power right at Goku as we were brawling, trading blows, when I actually slipped my foot right under his, sweeping his feet out from under him. This caused Goku to slip as he then rolls out of it, or so he thought. When Goku lifted up his head, though, I used a multi-form technique, and on top of this, I used an after image, making my exact location really hard to tell, at least for a second. Goku attempts to guess which one is the real me, but to his surprise, none of them were, because Goku finally looked up, and there I was, blasting a Kamehameha from very close range as the blast hit directly, and absolutely no way Goku could have escaped. Obviously, the blast wasn't strong enough to blow up the planet, but it was strong enough to crack the ring. However, Goku remained 1 foot laying on the broken tile when the smoke cleared, and this leaves me flabbergasted. But I don't hesitate. Instead, I start shooting off ki blasts in his direction. This causes the rest of the ring to crumble, and also causing more smoke. But Goku still has some fight in him, coming rushing out of the smoke. Off guard, I go flying back, panting after Goku stomachs me with a headbutt. This was a deciding factor in the canon fight, so I knew slipping here wasn't an option. But it was. Me and Goku locked up once more as I started thinking about how Goku uses this money for Chi-Chi and his soon-to-be son, Gohan. I knew winning here wasn't my best option, at least when it comes to Goku and his family. So whenever Goku shot his own blast at me, I just let the blast take me over, knocking me out of the ring, letting Goku win the tournament like he did in canon. So with that being said, Goku, Chi-Chi, and the rest of the Z Fighters would continue on with their daily lives as they do in canon. But the biggest question here, what am I doing? Well, I've thought of that. If you recall, in part 3, I didn't train with Kami. This was because I have full intentions of training with Kami here for the entire 5-year gap before a special visitor arrives on Earth. Training on Kami's lookout will have plenty of advantages. 1 being, I'm training with Kami. 2, I'm training with the rest of the Z Fighters. 3rd, I'm training with Piccolo Jr., who puts his issues aside just for the purpose of surpassing me and Goku. 4, I'm training with Mr. Popo. But that's not all. On Kami's lookout, there's a thing called the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, and knowing the threat is coming, I anticipate on using it. But instead of getting right into it, I'll skip to the arrival of Raditz, first starting with the meetup at Kami House. In this timeline, the get-together is all the Z Fighters, so it's Bulma, Krillin, Roshi, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Goku, Gohan, myself, and from a distance, Piccolo Jr. is there floating around. I made sure this happened just for the fact that I knew Raditz would come straight towards us, and when he arrives, I would stay in the background. I thought letting Raditz drop the bomb about, well, Goku being a Saiyan would be more revealing than me just kind of telling him that this was a random known fact that I've known this entire time, and I haven't said anything about it until just now. However, suddenly the tension got super tight as Raditz would arrive as he makes eye contact with me. His face said something, as I just didn't know what. But before either one of us could say a word, Krillin would speak up like he does in canon, which gets him smacked in the Kami House by Raditz's tail. This also causes Tenshinhan to jump in and charge at Raditz, but Raditz proves another point by blocking Tenshinhan by grabbing him by the arm and literally cuts it straight off. Tenshinhan screams in pain while Raditz talks over the cry, once again asking Goku to join him and the Saiyans. But Goku already had his mind made up. It was a no, and especially after Raditz's action with Goku's friends, there was no way Raditz could convince Goku to ever join him. This then leads Raditz and Goku to actually brawl, however Goku's lack of training over the 5 years cost him in this fight. Raditz then fends off Goku, as well as Roshi and Yamcha, while Gohan runs to his downed father. Raditz goes darting towards the half-breed, but finally it was my time to intercept into the fight. And this actually catches Raditz by surprise because my power level at this point is around 500, so I was able to eat at least one of his fists straight on. Raditz was stronger than I was, but I knew his weakness. His tail. As long as I could take the punches, I could just reach around grabbing his tail. In fact, I was on my breaking point. Raditz got to the point where every punch was actually breaking a bone in my body. Raditz then crawls over me, yelling about all the weaklings on this planet, but this was my opportunity. I reach around, and my hand feels some fur, so I tightly grip it with my hand, dropping Raditz to his knees. I pull myself over his back, yanking him up on his feet, when finally Piccolo would come into the fight. Well, by Piccolo, I mean a special beam cannon that comes flying towards myself and Raditz. However, Goku sees this and knows my fate, and Goku couldn't allow that. Goku picks himself up and dashes, knocking me out of the way just in time. But Goku also shoved Raditz, taking the beam right to the chest, passing away on contact. Krillin, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Roshi then would surround Goku, but this angered me. The fight wasn't even close to being over yet. Raditz was alive, and this wasn't supposed to happen. Luckily, though, I didn't fumble, and I never let go of Raditz's tail when the idea would then hit me. Roshi, Krillin, Tenshinhan, let's seal them! This then leads to Roshi grabbing a jelly jar from inside, while Tenshinhan started the Malfuba, while Krillin prepared to shoot off his own as well if Raditz just in case reversed the attack. And as soon as the blast reaches us, I roll out of the way so Raditz would then get trapped inside the jelly jar. But if you're wondering if Vegeta and Nappa plan on coming to Earth, well, yes, because when the Z-Fighters surrounded Goku, all they talked about were the Dragon Balls and reviving Goku with them. With that said, I knew training now was more important than ever, but first we needed to heal. Raditz whooped our tails, but luckily Bulma was there for cleanup. She uses a capsule, bringing us to the hospital to all get well. And as soon as we do, Krillin and Tenshinhan are going, searching for the Dragon Balls, while I actually head to Chi-Chi's. And if the reason isn't obvious enough of why I'm going to Chi-Chi's, I wanted to convince her to actually let Gohan train. Obviously, Chi-Chi was hesitant about it at first, but I convinced her by saying I can make sure Gohan was here before dinner, giving him time to study between dinner, shower, and sleep. Plus, I've known Chi-Chi for a while, so I think she can trust me by now. So, with that said, I take Gohan to Kami's Lookout, where we begin our training for the next threat, Vegeta and Nappa, which only I know would be here in 9 months instead of a year. However, we'll be getting into that in the next part. I believe this is a nice way to leave off this video for now. So, if you guys like it, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hitting that bell icon if you want alerts whenever I upload or post in my community tab. Comment down below what you want to see in part 5. Oh, and like this video. It really helps get into the algorithm. So, enough of an outro. Dragonstar Productions is out.
Congratulations, champ. You made it to the end of the video. Now, if you hit that subscription button, that thumbs up button, and that bell icon, you won't catch a dynamite